Before it all started, Nasser was in an open top jeep with troops around him, go around the streets waving his hands and greeting everybody. He came past our block, we were on our way to school, and all the kids from Les Français ran towards him. And he was shaking hands. I actually shook his hands. Only later on in life you understand what you've done. But he was a hero to Egyptian people. He was a hero.
They sort of mobilized their entire machine to motivate people against the foreigners and against Israel. And even the songs that they used to sing were political. And some had catchy tunes, as at least I thought them then. And I would sing along with the words, not realizing that I'm on the wrong side.
We had to sit in the dark every evening, all huddled together for as long as, until we got the all clear. That was a bit scary. And also they had to rely on foreign news, obviously. So they used to all huddle around the radio and listen to the BBC News.
And for some reason, any porter became like a sort of the guardian of that place. Like, put the light off, don't walk, go this way. Zionist.
We came to a point when it was too dangerous to live where we were. We felt our building was shaking with the bombing. It was a traumatic experience to actually see dead bodies from the windows from a balcony.
Suddenly, we weren't that welcome. Suddenly, we were being told to go. Suddenly, you were at home and not at home. So yes, something radically changed. Some schoolmates of mine chose to stone me, say Zionists, and these were kids that were on the same school bench as I was. Suddenly, I was perceived to be an enemy and the target.
My parents were under house arrest because they were British. They could only go out in the morning between 7 and 8 in the morning. Otherwise, they had to be home.
At the end of the 3 months, I remember my dad had to go to an office and register his name. Why? Because he was a British subject. Everybody who was British had to go and register. And soon after that, I remember a soldier, or some official, coming, and he told him that he had to leave. You have to leave, we give you 10 days, 10 days to leave, and you have to dispose of all your belongings, your furniture, everything, and you're only allowed to leave with a suitcase, with clothes. That's all you could take.
I do remember one day Dad coming in and saying, we've now been given notice to be expelled. And I think we had 3 weeks to leave.
Dirty piece of paper shoved through the letterbox with the words expelled on it.
And one morning the doorbell rang very early in the morning, and the policeman stood out there, and he had a letter which contained our expulsion order. So that was quite quite a scary moment, really, because you'd heard about it, but it was finally hitting you personally.
We had like an open house. People came along and they wanted to buy everything, dirt cheap, sort of take it away type of thing. And she had a beautiful glass cabinet where she used to put ornaments and things like that, and pictures, and I was attached to that, and I said, what a shame that this has to go.
I do remember the last film that was shown in the cinema was The Man Who Knew Too Much, and the theme song was Que Sera Sera, and I remember we used to play it a lot at home with my aunt, and that always, for a long time after that, if I heard it, I just got very nostalgic and a bit tearful.
And this picture was taken on New Year's Eve, 1956, the day before we left for England, and it's at a neighbor of ours. So we celebrated New Year together and left the next day.
So we got searched very, very thoroughly at the airport, and the customs officer took my doll. It was a baby-size doll, and the head was joined to the arms and legs with elastic ends. And I remember he pulled out the head of the doll, looked inside to see if there was anything hidden in it. Of course, there wasn't. But you know, the elastic never kind of went back properly.
Before we got on the ship, there were some Egyptian guards, and my mother had a little kind of pin brooch on her suit, which was from my grandmother, and it wasn't of great value, and they snatched it off her, and she started to cry.
Yeah. My father had 3 expensive watches, which were, you know, hidden by the cupboard. The guy in front of him was hauled over because he had the watches. So he got so scared, he took 2 of them off and put them in the bin.
Put them under the bench and broke them and just left them there.
That's right.
And he took his watch from his wedding, which my uncle had presented to him.
And they all came to say goodbye to us. And it was terrible because everybody was crying. I was sobbing, leaving my cousins, whom I love so much, and my uncles and aunts. And we had no idea where we were going. We had no idea whether we would ever see our family again. And we were going to England. We knew nobody in England. So it was really awful. It was quite a traumatic experience, actually.
The only thing I was petrified about was that I would somehow get left behind, or that I would somehow let go of my mother's hand in the throb of people going onto the boat of refugees and get lost. This, I remember that so clearly, clasping her hand and the doll that I managed to take in my other hand as if my life depended on it.
It happened very late at night. My father turned up because previously he was taken to prison, so he was kind of on bail. We all travelled together and we ended up at the top of the Suez Canal by the Mediterranean, and we all jumped into a barge, big barge, and they covered us in the middle. This is dead of the night. They covered us with tarpaulin over us. Jews from all over Egypt. And we took us to British battleships on the Mediterranean.
In some way we were fortunate. We were one of the first people to leave Egypt. We had somewhere to go. The British looked after us.
They put us in a coach and took us to Kidderminster refugee camp. The refugee camp had been an old Italian prisoner of war camp, and they were cells. They were like cells. It was like being put in prison. Then I just thought, oh my God, what's happened? Then it's like the light went out.
I'll tell you something, why I mentioned my sister. There's do this. You know, Ella used to fly to Egypt. She decided, you know, we're here for 2 days. This time I'm going to go to Port Said, visit our home. She phoned me up from Egypt, crying her eyes out, sobbing. You got to see it, you got to see it. Our home is still there, empty, boarded up. The neighbours knew her. She was 20 years older. She was crying. She says, we've still got our pictures in our coffee table. You know, you put pictures and you put the glass on top of the coffee. They're still there. Of our parents and grandparents. I can't touch them because I don't want to get in trouble. They're still, our furniture was still there. Our piano was still there. some of the chandeliers were taken. But our pictures there, unbelievable. In the mid-70s, 20 years after we left.